Okay, so I'm not going to stand up. Actually, I will. This is the last session. The good thing is that we still have we have a smaller panel, but that doesn't diminish their expertise. And this session is divided into two parts. The first half is sort of your takeaways. Try to keep them as concrete as possible, as short as possible. And if you want a bit of a dialogue between the three of you, that's fine too. But as short as possible, because it's really time for the question and answer. So we should open it up. Say it's now nearly 4 o'clock. So we should all maybe just talk a little and your takeaways. I mean, there are so many takeaways. But when I ask you to, when I give you the signal, we have to stop. And I'm going to open it up to question and answers. Very basic house rules. A question, please. And you've got to identify yourself and keep them focused. And if you want the question directed at anybody. But that's later down for 20 or 25 minutes. So I think you know everybody. We have, weren't you on the stage a minute ago?
Say it again?
You were on the stage a minute ago. You were moderating a minute ago.
It was quite traumatic.
I know it was. Are you okay?
I survived.
Good. Anyway, that's very pleased to have you here again, Prime Minister Rama. We met this morning. The mayor, you're meant to be over, it doesn't matter. The mayor of Warsaw, Rafał, Trzaskowski, thanks to have you here again, and Martina Dalić. I think we met a long time ago, President of the Management Board of Podkrafa, and a very prominent Croatian politician in the past. So, I think we'll kick off with Warsaw. You were moderating, but it was very lively. Very briefly, there are many takeaways. What's one or two main ones that's stuck in your mind?
Well, it's hard to sum up, but I guess, I mean, the most important takeaway is that, first of all, we shouldn't be sulking because of the fact that the world is changing, but we should be adapting. And I think that, I mean, the thing that I was wondering while I was listening to the panelists was how to balance it out. On the one hand, to be a proud European, because we do have a lot of achievements, and what we've constructed in Europe is incredible. Now, at the same time, we were not fulfilling our destiny, and we were not realizing some of the most important priorities. And we, as the Union, we've made quite a lot of mistakes when it comes to prioritizing what we are doing. Now, I agree with what most of the panelists said, that we have to be proud Europeans, and we have to do our job, because that's the only way to remain or be relevant. And also that's the only way to have any kind of meaningful collaboration with the current American administration, which only understands or reckons with those who are powerful. This is very important. But at the same time, we cannot be overwhelmed by the changing political climate, and we cannot be frightened with it, but we should listen to what the people are saying, and we should adapt accordingly, adapt our policies, adopt the language that we speak with, and of course also, there is this cliche, I hate it, that the European Union only reforms and does the right things when there is a crisis. But we should continue even if the crisis abates. Okay, just one brief question. This word, we have to adapt, and we kept hearing it this morning. Yeah. A short sentence. What does this adapting mean? I'm the ambassador of the Green Deal, right? Enough talking about the jargon, enough restrictions, focus on the win-win. Let's green our cities, let's invest in renewables, not for ideological reasons, because that kills Putin. Let's save energy. Let's invest in public transportation, because that's the best way to move people in your cities. Focus on the deliverables. Focus on the language that people understand. Well, I'm not sure what language people understand anymore, frankly. Well, I am sure. I'm sure you are. I'm the mayor of a city. Listen to the mayors. I know. You'll know more. I mean, you had to decide what language you were going to use during the election campaign. Yeah. That's why it's easier to win cities. She wanted to say how you understand if you lost. Excuse me. Yeah. But that's why I'm drawing the consequences. Well, I'll get back to you in a minute. Ms. Dalić, I mean,
you can hear what the mayor of Warsaw is doing, adapting and so on. And you're in the hot seat in business and so on. What was your main? What struck you most? Was it competition? Was it competitive? Was it AI? What was it that you go back with?
Well, we were debating about competition, which is actually an ability to succeed in competing with others. And number of issues affect ability to compete. And obviously, Europe and the European Union would like to somehow stand at the equal footage with the US, with China, and globally somehow maintain and improve its position in a global order. That was at least my understanding of what we were debating about. And basically important takeaway from our discussion, at least for me, was a very nicely put suggestion. If you want to be recognized and accepted as an equal partner, you need to project power. So, defense union, capital market union, effective internal market. So if we manage to build these elements and some other, probably, I haven't mentioned, we will be better equipped to compete with the others and succeed in political competition, in economic competition, in a very narrow sense, in terms of economics. It is, of course, a concept close to the corporations and economic policy making, but in a wider sense, it is also there is also a kind of competition among the states. So it seems to me that a number of speakers at our panel actually argued for more Europe. However, we were not able, basically, to reach the conclusion on how to reach more Europe.
Well, Prime Minister, you were sort of... were you here this morning?
No.
That's okay. Then we can discuss your takeaway from...
I know it's okay.
What?
I know it's okay, because it would have been more confusing, but...
No, because I don't want... the takeaways are from your discussion from this afternoon, and it was more based on small states. What I found interesting, if I may be allowed to say so as a moderator, that nobody mentioned the Germany word at all. In this discussion, Germany, in the role of competition, the role of the banking union, the role of completing the single market, the role of capital markets. I mean, the last great chancellor was Chancellor Kohl, who gave us the euro. But Prime Minister, get back to to my question to you. Do you have any particular takeaway from the last session, or generally?
No, it was quite confusion, I guess, and it expressed, and I think also what the others mentioned, it's an overall confusion about what to do, what direction to take. We need more Europe, we need less Europe. If we need more Europe, what does it mean? And if we need less Europe, what are the consequences and all this? So I came here with a big hope that we'll find some answers from these people that make a life finding answers, but I'm leaving more confused.
You're really more confused?
I'm leaving.
Oh, you're leaving more confused. Well, it's not a bad thing.
No, it's beautiful now.
Oh. Well, I mean,
Because it's open. It's open.
Maybe confusion. Maybe you're not skeptical, you're not cynical, but confusion. Okay.
No, I'm never skeptical. I'm never cynical. I'm tragically optimistic always.
Tragically optimistic.
Yes.
Okay. I'll remember this. I want to go back to an issue which sort of was coming through a bit in your session. This idea, was this any of your takeaways, the issue of national sovereignty? And we saw this under the previous government in Poland. We have a special definition of it in Hungary. Other countries have their idea. I suppose my question is the member states and national sovereignty becoming a much more important issue when it comes to the future direction of, if it's not a paradox, the future direction of the EU? Rafał?
Well, yes. As I told you, I was attacked throughout the presidential campaign all the time for being too European. And the thing is that I don't think that the point whether we need more Europe or less Europe should be generalized to that extent, because there are areas in which we certainly need more collaboration, like defense and security, where we need more to be credible and we need to take more responsibility. Like the energy union, like, for example, the artificial intelligence and so on and so forth. But there are areas in which we are doing too much when it comes to restrictions, and where we were trying to be too ambitious. And we left the people behind. Yeah. So yes, I mean, in times of turmoil, in times of populism, when there are global problems that people think the answers are national, we have to be very, very careful and make step-by-step approaches to many of those issues. And as I've said, in some of them we need retrenchment.
Yes.
In some of them we need more ambition.
What about this issue? And it sort of again came up, but it didn't come right through. We looked at integration through how it would affect competition and competitiveness, banking union, capital markets. But I was sitting there listening. And integration is a bit of a taboo at the moment in terms of political integration. Did you get any sense that coalitions of the willing of different aspects, whether it's defence, whether there's a bit of a Eurozone coalition of the willing in any case, but do you think coalitions of the willing might be a way forward since integration is not on the agenda at the moment?
We have it in the treaty. We have the flexibility clauses.
Yes.
Yeah, but yes. Come on. Yes, I know that it bores you to death.
It doesn't bore me to death. It's not implemented.
But I have to, put my hat on of the guy who was doing it for so many years. I cannot just throw it over the board. Yes, I mean, there are ways in which we can do it with those member states who want to move the ball forward. The most important thing is because you disregarded my comment on so lightly on the language and on the way we communicate with the people. And you are right to say that this is something we should all focus on, because the alternative is that we are going to keep losing elections. But either we are going to say more Europe, and that's the answer to everything, and we are going to repeat the mistakes of the past, or we are going to draw the consequences. You asked a question about Germany. I mean, if it wasn't mentioned. If I read the memoirs of Angela Merkel, and she says she didn't commit a single mistake, I'm baffled. When I listened to Chancellor Merz, and he admits that there were a lot of mistakes in Germany committed when it comes to its relations with Russia, energy policy, migration policy, and so on and so forth, then I listen to someone who has drawn consequences. That's exactly what we need, because otherwise the whole debate will be hijacked by the populists. And also, I mean, you mentioned sovereignty. I mean, even if, I'm not a federalist, but even if there are federalists among ourselves, I mean, this is not the way forward. I mean, we have created something incredible in the European Union because it hasn't been mimicking, the existing federal or other solutions. Now, we just need to tune it so that people will go along with it. And that means concrete responses to concrete policies. Because otherwise, there is no... And then that's why we have to talk about what do we need to do with defense, with borders, with migration, and so on and so forth. And also with the question of sovereignty. Because, we can be talking about pulling sovereignty, exercising it together, People don't get it. I mean, if they're threatened, if the security of their homeland is on the line, they turn to the state. I mean, that's their basic instinct. Now, our way is to, is to show them that we can be more effective by doing things together, especially when, and last thing, especially, and I think that this we haven't communicated the most important idea, that even if we are Atlanticist, even if we think that there is no other way but, strong relationship between Europe and the United States, with current administration, and if we write that this is not just the administration, but that there is a change of relationship, I mean, consequences have to be drawn, which means that we need to take more responsibility, which means that we need to be spending more money, which means that we cannot be promising things that we do not deliver on. Thessaloniki summit, we said that we're going to accept, Western Balkans, and what happened? Now we're telling the Ukrainians that we're going to accept them. Are we really in 10 years or 5 years? Are we ready for that? With that budget? With no change of our agriculture policy? And I could go on and on and on and on and on. So we have to be serious about what we're doing, finally.
I wasn't bored about the treaties. I'm depressed about the treaties that they're not implemented. And we have the Lisbon Treaty, which does give the European Union considerable competences, frankly. Ms. Dalić, I mean, do you agree that the gap between the institutions and the public really is just too wide now, and something has to be really fixed in order to push Europe forward, or else to explain to the public why there has to be different priorities in spending, for instance?
Well, it seems to me that in relation to this debate, it is not only about Europe, because Europe is a Commission, a Parliament, Council. It is also about member states. I mean, we do not live in time when we have the luxury to somehow push a bit or I don't want to say reduce, but underestimate the importance of member states. It is just a political time we are living in. And member states, the leaders of member states, they are elected by their people, and they have the responsibility to their electorate. So this challenge and gap and the solutions to reduce and coordinate the member states and the union as such, I think the challenge is bigger than ever. And I think we saw that also during the recent crisis when war in Ukraine started. What has happened? I mean, the national leaders, the member states leaders, somehow took the helm and established the coalition of willing, because they probably felt strong enough to do that. The leaders of the European institutions probably did not feel strong enough, powerful enough, rooted enough to actually lead the effort. Therefore, and in conclusion, I think it is important to discuss and debate about the role and what are the tasks that can be given to the institutions and to the union. But we shouldn't forget that people are in member states, that populists are strong. It is very easy that the political situation in which people become annoyed can be easily somehow created. So I think in our debates, how to make Europe stronger, how to make Europe to project power, we shouldn't forget the member states. I think that the solution is not only more Europe and stronger European institutions.
Thank you for this. But your view from Albania, regardless of the fact that you're not in the EU, but you're waiting, but you are in NATO, I mean, how do you see coalitions of the willing? It wouldn't exclude Albania, for instance, from NATO, or especially coalitions outside the NATO structures, perhaps, in terms of different military setups. Would that be something that would be attractive to you?
Attractive, you said.
Yes, attractive.
Do we have a choice? No.
Yeah, of course you have.
No, we don't.
Yes, you do.
We have to be in every willing coalition possible, with or without willing, but we have to be willing. This is what we have to do, because we are a small country. We are looking to be connected with a bigger and more powerful. So in that regard, you are not going to make me say anything that will make it less boring. But when it comes from the perspective from our little angle of Europe, I have to say that we have felt in our own skin what it meant to deal with a European Union that was not strategic, but only tactical. And we have seen how Vladimir Vladimirovich has changed it. Unfortunately, and sadly enough, EU needed a war of aggression to wake up and to say, wait a minute, because all this, procrastinating with the Western Balkan is a bad idea.
I see.
So without Putin, we would not have seen what we are seeing now as a accelerating process, as a much more flexible and what they call now gradual integration, and we are having some benefits from that. So this shows, I believe, a lot about how much damage and self-harm Europe can do to itself by being tactical and not strategic. And when it comes to all this rearming thing, I want to make it very clear. We follow in line whatever it takes and however it looks and whatever we may think. But in this occasion, it's good to speak and to say what you think. And I'm afraid that this rearming thing is gonna come back as something bad for everyone.
What's going to come back?
It's gonna come back as a bad thing for Europe.
What, the rearming?
The rearming.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you properly. Okay.
So this is my thinking, because it's being totally disproportional, in my view, with the needs that the people, talking about the people, because we were talking about the people, right? How people feel, what people want, and what people appreciate, and what people expect from the European institutions, from their own politicians, and so on. And I'm afraid they don't expect this ramp up of weaponry and of military and all this. And in the mid-long run, I'm afraid that this is going to come back as the biggest strategic mistake we have done.
Just one thing before I talk to Rafał. In what way?
In what way, I don't know, because I don't see the future. But in one way or the other, it may become a big problem for Europe.
Well, doesn't it...
Because a lot of resources are going in that direction. And on one hand, and on the other hand, in the mid and long run, the many other things that need to be addressed will remain not addressed properly because of that. And this may come to a point that the tensions can go much higher, and the fragile balances between European countries that look like have totally forgotten history, have totally left behind conflicts and dilemmas about territories, about things, can come back. And this will be the biggest curse we have contributed to build up. And the populism and all the far right and all this type of creatures that are blossoming may find it interesting to start play with some guns.
Well, it's interesting what you say, because I'm sitting opposite, Poland, who's investing very heavily in the military and upgrading, and they see the threat. And I think one of the problems still in the European Union, despite more or less consensus over sanctions on Russia, is that there's still not a common threat perception. So how the Baltic states and Poland, for instance, Norway, Sweden, Finland see
I believe
threats.
it's the most natural thing, no? Because they are in the border.
Exactly.
They are much more knowledgeable
Exactly.
about what they talk about and so on. But on the other hand, it doesn't mean that even the level of threat is the same, right? So we are not in the same level of threat.
Absolutely.
Just to say.
Yes. But nevertheless, I mean, Poland has the responsibility for its security, and they cannot wait indefinitely for NATO to do certain things that it wants to do.
You want to put me in some dispute with him?
I'm just trying to...
It's not going to happen. I fully respect their position, but you asked me
from
my
your point of
opinion.
view,
It's just an opinion.
First of all, I think that, obviously people in Poland and the Baltic states and in our part of Europe think that we should deliver and that we should be much stronger and of course invest in our defense. That's obvious. Now, the problem is that, and you were talking about the threat perception, is that we were not able. She was talking about the threat perception. I mean, I think that we were not successful at really showing the people what is happening now. I've been teaching international relations theory for the past 25 years. Like 10, 15 years ago, even 5 years ago, we were all saying realism is dead, it's all about collaboration, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Now, every book you read about China, which was written before 2017, was saying that, China is a benign power, blah, 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 blah. Now, we live in a completely different world. What is the America, and I'm self-censoring myself, let's call it unpredictable. The Americans are unpredictable, the Chinese are more and more assertive. What is the response to it? We need to be much more powerful, right? We need to be self-sufficient. I mean, that's the answer to most of our problems. And I don't think that we were able to show it in Poland, in Sweden. Mm-hmm. Are we really making that message clear in Italy or Spain? Even though these guys do understand what's happening in the US, what's happening in China. So the question is, stop moaning about Trump and attacking him and ridiculing him. Yeah. Draw the consequences now. Yeah. But I take your point, Prime Minister, because I think that the Prime Minister, if I may, was talking about something slightly different, is that we start arming ourselves. I mean, now we're all friends. But I mean, those crazy populists are everywhere. So whether one day it's not going to become our curse, I don't know. But I know one thing, that all of those crazy guys are watching us, and it's not just Putin. And they understand only the effectiveness, power, and the language of strength. And if we lose this war, or we lose the peace, everyone will assume that we cannot get our act together. And that means that we're going to live in a much more dangerous world. And I'm not sure that we've made that message clear enough to our Italian or Spanish or Maltese friends who are not having the same perception of the threat as we do, right? And similarly, last point, and similarly on the consequences of what we are observing in the US, right? Yeah. Stop analyzing it, stop bedeviling it, stop making fun of it. Draw the consequences.
Thank you for this being very firm, and you too, about the fears and so on. Well, let's see what the audience thinks.
But what makes you...
Let's see what the audience thinks.
No, sorry.
Let's see what the audience...
Just a question.
Okay. Sure. Quick. Yeah, go on.
Quick, yeah. What makes you say that China is not a benign power?
because I'm observing it every other day, and I've read their security doctrine was changed in 2019. They're saying now that they have a right to defend, you know, the lines of communication. You know, they are rearming like crazy. They are.
So Poland, that is rearming, is not a benign power.
But look at our policy documents and our intentions, and look at theirs.
No, just.
Yeah, go. Can we open it out?
And if it weren't, I mean, Putin would be long gone if the Chinese were not helping him, and they're doing it.
There's another thing, but then we should have another discussion.
Yes.
But China itself.
Prime Minister, I really think the audience have been waiting since 9 o'clock this morning to throw in some questions, and I'm sure some will be directed at you. So I take one question at a time, and please identify yourselves. There's a microphone here, there's a microphone there. Now, I'm going to take 3 questions at a time so that we can pack it all in. A question over in the left here, a second one, and this was the third one. Now, remember, identify yourself in short questions, and if you want the Prime Minister or the Mayor of Warsaw or a wonderful Croatian interlocutor here to answer them, please say so. Okay, you're first over there. No, over there. By the door. Yes, there. At the back. I saw your hand first. Sorry, I mean, the lights are very strong.
You saw a hand he is not seeing.
Excuse me?
You saw a hand he is not seeing. You know, okay.
Thank you very much, Radu Aghea, Romania Civil Society. First, the question particularly for the guy from Poland. The idea is how to protect ourselves as European if we don't have an intelligence service to protect our institution, our European institution, in terms of our values of the European Union. How we rely on intelligence national services to protect the EU bureaucracy. We don't have this. And imagine our enemies from the 80s look at our bureaucracy and put people there based on managerial skills, not counterintelligence. Thank you.
Thank you, Multimet.
Romanians are all about intelligence.
One over here and one over here. Yes, I know. One over here and this gentleman here. You're third. There was no messing there.
No, it's Romanians.
Excuse me?
No, I'm saying Romanians are obsessed about intelligence since a long time. I mean, Secret Service.
Come on.
Hello.
Please, a question. Identify yourself in a question, please.
Hello. I'm Annunziata from Erste Financial Life Park. And this morning, it's a question for Rafał Trzaskowski.
Again, in the hot seat.
This morning, Ms. Tocci talked about the betrayal when talking about the US. And then Mr. Papin, on the other hand, he talked about business. And is this a fundamental problem that we, in the EU, we think about the transatlantic relationship as a marriage, like with values, based on values, and the US sees it as a business.
Transactional.
Business, yes.
Okay,
what should we do about it?
What should we do? The third question here. Thank you.
Yes, my name's Jeff Manners. I'm a semi-retired insurance executive, so it shouldn't come as a surprise. I'm going to ask about capital markets. On the panel, there seems to be uniform support for having a common capital market. Yet, I'm wondering, why aren't we there yet? There were some suggestions that the national finance minister should be acting on this, but there must be real obstacles to that. Where are the obstacles? Who's opposing this? 2, who can take ownership of this? Should it be at the national level or at the institutional level in Brussels? How to drive this forward and how to get around the opposition? Let's identify it.
Okay, there are the 2 questions. Let's start at the capital markets first. Who wants to take the capital markets question? You've already touched it.
Maybe I can comment on it. I mean, Capital Markets Union was already a priority for Juncker's Commission, if I remember correctly. I think progress has been made, especially regulatory progress. But why we still do not have the Capital Market Union, I would offer 2 possible explanations, and I do not want or say that this is the comprehensive list. Just my thinking. I think generally, basically, policymakers at EU level and at the national level did not explain and did not explain to the officials as well as to the public that building capital markets union require actually different attitude, different legal framework, different attitude toward the application of the rule of law. So, and basically, I believe that effective capital markets union, apart from the technical issues that needs to be done and implemented, also require the change of mentality and the change of the way how companies think about the sources of financing. And the second explanation, or maybe a reason I would like to point out, is actually the idea that capital market union could be developed only as a debt market. Debt market is, I think, an excellent first step. But capital markets are basically markets of shares, of stocks.
Okay.
Therefore, clear actions should be done and decided about listing of the companies, and member states should make such a decision that public companies should be listed partially, and so on and so on. And just the last sentence on the earlier topic. Rearming and costs related to rearming will cause the change in our way of life. I mean, these things are costly, and somebody, I think, needs to start explaining to the people that our life and the way of our life will be changed, and maybe changed differently in Poland and in Italy.
Thank you for that.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, the two questions.
Yes.
On rearming, I would just say that, rearming also can drive our industries and our competitiveness, and that we can start being really sure that that's exactly what we're doing. Simply because...
If we buy arms from the Americans.
No, because we're not going to buy all the arms from the Americans. And when it comes to the drones technology, now we have a chance of being much better than the Americans. But let's leave it aside. Yeah, we do. I mean, we do, because, I mean, if we get the whole defense project seriously, that we are going to actually create an industrial base, that's where we will finally invest in innovation. That's why we will find out ourselves in a relationship that will necessitate investing in satellites and artificial intelligence and so on and so forth. But okay, let's leave it at the side. Now, for your question, when it comes to the intelligence, I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about, that there are certain capabilities that we lack. So if we are serious about creating this defense capabilities, we should invest in those capabilities, which now we have to borrow from the Americans, because otherwise we're not going to be serious. And of course, intelligence is one of them. When it comes to the very good question, thank you very much for it. I mean, I think that that's also one of the takeaways from the discussions that we had about the Americans. I mean, if we're going to talk about betrayal, if we're going to sort of bemoan the fact that it's no longer about values and so on and so forth, we're not going to have any meaningful dialogue. When I'm talking to my Republican friends, I try to say this: you want to do business? Your way of approaching things is transactional? Fine. That means that you need to be credible and predictable. That means that if you want us to take more responsibility, Poland has been saying it for the past 15 years. Let's take more responsibility. And then you're sure that you have those allies in Europe which will take care of their backyard, and then you can focus on anything else you want, right? And if you really want to do business, I mean, how about transatlantic relationship? And how about, strengthening our trade relationship? Is it only about trade deficit? Is hiking tariffs, that's the way forward? You want to do business with us, because that's your best opportunity. So, I mean, speak the language that they understand. But that, of course, means we need to take more responsibility, spend more money, and no more free riding. And also when it comes to energy, and also when it comes to competition, and so on and so forth. I mean, you want to focus on China, and you want to do it without anyone backing you up? You want to focus on China when everyone is sort of not knowing whether all of the alliances that you've created all around the world, in Asia as well, are credible or not? I mean, there's one thing which is the most precious in foreign affairs: predictability.
Yeah. Thank you very much for this. Just one thing about the intelligence. If the European Union do want to build up an intelligence capability, the member states have to trust each other. And that isn't there at the moment. A third round of questions, and I'd like to bring in oh gosh, they all went up at the same time. Okay, we take 1, 2, and 3 here. These in the third and fourth rows, and then we'll have another batch. Yes, you see them? Thank you. Vielen Dank. 1, 2, 3. They're nearly all together. Yeah, no, here. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah.
See the hand. What is this?
I think it's the light. Sometimes very strong. And just identify yourself in one question.
Anselm Spari, Rutgers University. If you were to put on your fox hat and think like a fox and think some forbidden thoughts in terms of strategy, what would those be for the questions at hand?
Sorry, could you repeat that question?
The question is, if you were to allow yourself to put on your fox, to think like a fox, and to think or speak on forbidden things in terms of what you could do, to push the envelope.
Okay. Okay. That's the, thank you.
The psychoanalytical question.
The second, thank you. The second question was there, and the third question there. Please.
Thank you, Thomas Stelzer, retired diplomat. Thank you for very interesting 3 panels. My concern is that credibility has been exclusively related to military showing. Don't you think that redirecting scarce investments to defense budgets might not weaken social coherence to an extent and drive even more that feel excluded from those in the lowest income bracket into the arms of populists?
Great question. And the third here, please.
Yes, Teodora Janic. I'm a student of political science and sociology in Vienna. I'm also part of Democratic Odyssey, IDEMO, and Innovation Circle. And I have a question, as maybe you can tell, I'm part of the Gen Z, and I'm kind of looking forward to working this field one day. I want to talk about trust, because this is something that Mrs. Angel had said just shortly in the panel discussion. Honestly, the youth doesn't really trust the politicians we have right now. We can see that with many movements, whether it be in Europe, Serbia, or in Nepal, we see a lot of distrust coming. And maybe this is nothing that we actually talked about, so this is my opportunity to really ask, how are we going to rebuild this trust?
Okay.
This is something that we need. Yeah. We need to trust politicians. And also, I would like to be a trustful person in the future when I maybe do politics. So,
super.
Please, some advice. Thank you.
3 great questions. I think we'll take the fox first. I don't want to think like a fox.
You take it.
No, I think I read.
Just imagine yourself
Mr. Magic
as a fox.
What was that Roald Dahl book about the fox that would be shot?
Imagine these are trees in the forest.
About 3 foxes here.
No.
Anyway, pushing the envelope.
Polish cannot be foxes by definition. Albanians are eagles, it's well known. Croats, I don't know, what are you? Kuna. So you are the fox.
You don't know if I'm a fox. You don't know where I come from.
You are the fox because we are not.
That's a process of exclusion.
Exactly, so we need to have a fox.
Go and answer the question then, pushing the envelope.
On fox?
Oh, well then don't.
Gentleman was talking about the balance between the...
I thought you were saying the gentleman need to see himself a psychoanalyst.
No, I was actually referring to a different question. The gentleman who was talking about the balance between rearming and the social cohesion. Which is actually an excellent topic to be discussed like fox.
Keep the fox.
Because that's true.
Wait a second,
you said it's true, the fear of lack of social cohesion.
The thing is to continue what the gentleman very rightly put in front of us. The thing is, if we follow his way of thinking, that at the end, what we call today the populists will end by having both the people and the weapons.
Yeah.
What they'll do with that is to be seen for the Gen Z, because hopefully I'll not be around.
Well, I mean, I think, of course, you're obviously right. That's why, if we are serious in the European Union about realizing our priorities, we cannot do it with the same budget. It's as simple as that. That's exactly what I was saying. So, I mean, one of the things is that, we are putting more and more priorities in front of us, and then, there's zero credibility because the budget is as it is. Now, so that's problem number one. I mean, of course, there are many things that can be done simultaneously. So, for example, I mean, if we're talking about self-sufficiency and if we're talking about defense, we need to recreate steel industry in Europe, right? Is it going to only be a response to the defense questions? No, it's going to be a response to the competitiveness question and self-sufficiency question, right? I mean, if you want to, I mean, we are not in, okay, I'm going to use the Polish example, but it's exactly the same in all of your countries. The only difference is Finland and maybe now a bit Sweden. You want to create shelters? I mean, that's going to, take us 10, 15, 20 years, right, to create bomb shelters. But if we continue on building subway systems in some of our countries, then you have dual use, right? And now the Commission is now saying enough of subways in Europe, right? We are buying this equipment from all over, for example, heavy tanks. Most of our infrastructure is not fit for that purpose. Because, actually some of the bridges will crumble and some of the roads are not ready to take them on. So you need to build infrastructure and so on and so forth. So it depends how you approach it. And if you see the defense industry as a driver of competitiveness and so on and so forth, not just buying tanks and not just buying equipment from the Americans, then I think that you can meet quite a lot of different priorities at the same time. But yes, and now I go to the question of trust. You need to rebuild
Keep
trust.
It short, yeah, we have a lot of questions. The trust.
Yeah.
Please.
We haven't broached the question of what destroys trust right now, mostly the way in which the social media work, which just promotes conflict. Are we ready to do something about that? As simple as that.
I wonder, yesterday, and we touched on this a little bit this morning on demography, and again, Germany was excluded from a lot of these panels.
What's your problem with Germany? I don't understand.
I'm going to tell you.
You are obsessed about
I'm going
Germany.
to tell you now. Will you let me answer?
Finally, Germany is excluded. Why you want Germany with all means, by all means, in the discussion? If Germany is not in the discussion, it's not. Why you are so...
You want Germany to support you joining the EU, don't you?
Of course,
Good.
but it means that we are okay with Germany. It's not an issue.
Excuse me. There is a very important debate taking place in Germany at the moment.
But they invited Germans to come and talk about Germany. We are not Germans.
Wait a second. It goes back to the social cohesion.
And don't ask the Polish.
It goes back to the social cohesion element.
Oh.
There's a younger generation who are seeing the prospect of an aging population, and the pensions are going up for a huge aging population. And the Chancellor, for the moment, although under pressure from the young Conservatives, is resisting pressure to actually decrease the pension contributions, actually increase them, give pensioners more. Now, it does go back to the cohesion. The younger generation saying, okay, so who's going to pay for them? We're not going to get any share of these pensions when we grow older. We will have to work longer. And so this is part of the social cohesion as well. Who's going to pay for the demographic crisis? And, the defense spending will feed into this as well. Who's going to pay for the infrastructure and the education, and, which we didn't touch on, who's going to care, who's going to pay for the people looking after these very old people? And these are parts of the whole element of the future of Europe. I just wanted to bring that point in, that it's all a kind of package as well.
It is changing our way of life.
Yes.
And somebody has to start explaining that to people, because people do not understand that, and as Mr. Rama, I think, already mentioned, people are not interested in these topics. They expect their life
to continue.
Good life to continue.
Yes. We have another round of questions before we wrap this up and hand over the floor. One there, two there, and three there. So here, 1, 2, and no, you were fourth. 3, And maybe if we time, go around to the fourth one.
This lady is asking you to give her the microphone since before
Was she?
we started. Give her the microphone. She's gonna get out depressed. Give her the microphone.
Well, sometimes I can't see with the lights, okay? There, if you've seen her hand, do you want to moderate this? I'll give her...
Lady with the, yeah.
Just the last round of questions. Okay, thank you, Prime Minister.
Thank you very much for the very interesting debate the whole day. One question.
Could you identify yourself, please?
Yes, excuse me. Gudrun Steinacker, former German diplomat, now an activist in nature conservation. And it was, I think, only Lea Ypi who raised the green agenda of the EU, and I'm referring to this green agenda. First of all, I want to see the EU enlarged, and I want Albania to see in the EU. But, Mr. Prime Minister, do you really think that the construction of an airport in the middle of a national park and the running of this airport will really be compatible with the EU accession of your country?
Okay.
So,
wait a second.
You see Germany? You wanted Germany? Now
it's Albania.
I have the Germans in my country.
Wait. Second question, and the third question. Where was the second question?
First German asked about what we are going to do, not what they are going to do about their aging and all this. You wanted the Germans? I found you the Germans. And now it's my problem, it's not your problem. You see how it goes?
Yeah. We share the problems. Can we have the second one and the third one? The second question was over here, and the third question was there. Now, and then we have to close it. The question: identify yourself, keep it directed to whoever, and the third question there.
Finally, you are happy. Yeah, it was like I knew she was German, you know.
Okay. Ursula Maplehurst, project Prometheus.eu. So we calculate that the EU has lost approximately 93 million of potential tax revenue since this morning. So we were talking this morning about how we... sorry, I'm losing my words. What did I actually write? How we're a leaderless empire. So the question is, are we going to treat our digital infrastructure like our physical infrastructure and have the political courage to move away from being a colony of the US?
Okay.
You're German also?
No.
The third question.
French, yeah.
Ukrainian.
Third question. You've got a problem.
It thing always in terms of colonies,
please.
Hi, my name is Sergio Uribe. I'm a Spanish American. I've spent
Finally, yeah.
I've spent my life in both the United States and in Europe. And during the first panel, I was struck by how we didn't discuss about European competitiveness, about the social model of the continent, in particular the welfare states in the larger, more wealthier countries. And I wanted to ask you all what you thought about how whether these large welfare states are compatible with a more competitive Europe in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. We got the airport.
Of course.
Yes.
Germany's problem. What do you mean? Can I answer to that?
Yeah, keep it short and answer. It would be great.
No, you cannot.
No, it'd be great.
If you help me, I cannot even answer. If you want it shorter,
the
shortest version is to not answer. If you want me to answer...
Excuse me, I'm moderating it.
I was moderator before, and I know how it looks like. Would you like to
answer the question or not?
I want to.
Well, do.
But don't censor me.
We are closing this in 5 minutes.
And why? Where do you have to go next? Where do you have to go next? You know, it's the topic is time to decide. You see, and no decision was made so far. And you want to leave without taking any decision? I'm going to answer very shortly.
Please.
It's not a national park, madam, first of all. Second is a runaway that was there since our brothers and sisters from Italy came to graciously occupy us. And now we are building an airport, true, but guess what? The strategic partner of that airport is a Munich airport, and which is very well known for having built an airport where supposedly the birds would have all gone away, but they didn't. So they know how to do it. They know what does it mean. So don't worry. will not be a harmful operation, and I'm very serious about that. And will be something that will be of advantage of our touristic industry, but at the same time will allow you to come and to fly to Albania. You are now a retired German diplomat, so having entered recently the touristic industry, I learned something amazing. Because when you think about Germans, you always think about hard-working people. But I learned that the Germans are the people that are on top of the chart for having more holidays than anyone else, which is amazing. They are far above the Chinese, who are the second in terms of numbers, but they very intelligently do short holidays during the year. So who has the Germans as tourists is blessed. So please come to visit. The airport will make you come very fast.
Comfortable. Thank you for that, Valamendieret. The digital less dependent on the US. Oh, thank you very much. Maybe I can fly there. The digital, and then we leave.
I'll jump in on the digital.
Please.
Right.
And then the last question is very important.
First of all, I'm reminded of Fawlty Towers and this piece on "Don't Mention the War." So, greetings to all of our German friends, guys. You know, I think that the thing is that we need simply to collaborate and think about the ways in which we can draw the consequences from some of the policies that we did right and some of the policies that we did wrong. And I think that your question about our way of approaching the big American companies is right on point. Why? Because first of all, it touches upon the questions of democracy. Because, as I said, you know, the algorithms that actually rule social media exacerbate conflict and have a negative impact on our democracy. Second of all, is that if we want to be innovative and if we really want to push our agenda forwards on any issue, we need to start thinking about the rules that we apply to ourselves. And of course, those are very difficult questions because, I mean, you know, how much do we want to protect our privacy? What do we do when it comes to data and so on and so forth? We've taken certain choices, which of course also limit our capability of growth. But we have to tackle the question to sort of try to set the equilibrium right. And by the way, on competition policy, when it came to Microsoft, when it came to Google, we used to be incredibly powerful. I mean, we were able to change the debate and actually force these companies to change the way in which they were behaving. And now the question is, can we do the same about the big companies which are now dominating our social media? And of course, it is much more difficult. That's the last sentence. Of course, it is much more difficult with the American administration, which is not collaborating on that, and with some of the American entrepreneurs who are actually making it even more difficult and backtracking from some of the self-imposed restraints that they were introducing themselves.
Thanks for that.
Let him finish.
And the welfare state is a very important issue, given what's happening in infrastructure and education and health and the defence spending. Would you jump in here and then we wrap it up? It would be very helpful.
Thank you.
You said it three times.
I believe there is an order of social priorities, and all priorities cannot be equally important. And the order of social priorities is determined at the election. So if Europe and Europeans have realized or determined that the security threat is real and important, and if they determine that security threat is among our first priorities, then there must be the rescheduling of other priorities. I mean, that's a view of economists. I'm an economist. So we cannot have it all at once and all the time. Therefore, we really need to start talking about productivity, competitiveness, innovation, reducing taxation to be more competitive, reducing the regulatory burden to be more competitive. Very complex job.
It is very complex.
May I say something at the end that adds, I think, an interesting bit to what was said about that? The IMF has made an assessment about Europe. It started as an assessment for Europe 2050, based on the major risks like the climate change, the aging of population, and the unsustainability of the healthcare system and the welfare system, and also the national security.
Yeah.
Because of what happened, they brought it closer to 2040 by taking consideration that the national security became a top priority risk.
Yeah. Thank you.
And their their finding was and is very damning, that if things will go in this trend, Europe will have to deal with an average debt of 130%, which, based on the structure of the European economy, will be absolutely not sustainable. And imagine in the meantime, while the debt will gonna rise like that, the far right and the weapons will accompany this, what we can figure out in our imagination.
But I must take a look at this IMF report. Thank you very much to the three speakers and to a great audience, very, very trenchant questions. And they were all very related back to the morning session and the afternoon session. And before we close this, I would like to thank you all personally, but also hand over the floor to Misha Glenny, the Rector of the Institute for Human Sciences. And Misha will try, I don't know how he's going to do it, to wrap it up in 5 minutes. Thank you very much, Misha.
Okay.
Hello, good evening. I'm going to be quite quick because I know we're all exhausted after such an intense day, but I just wanted to point out that this whole event has been organized by the Erste Stiftung, the Erste Foundation, and the Institute for Human Sciences, das Institut für die Wissenschaften vom Menschen. And it is the culmination of many years' collaboration, which is, from the IWM's perspective, amongst the most fruitful collaborations that we've ever engaged in. And I don't think it's coincidental that a majority of the people who you've heard from today have been fellows of our Europe's Future program, which was devised and supported by the Erste Stiftung and the IWM. And I would like to thank a few people who've been involved in this program. Unfortunately, he can't be with us today for family reasons, but Dino Pasalic, who runs the Europe's Futures program in Vienna, has done great work. Hedvig Morvai, sitting right in front of me here, has always been a great supporter. And two other people I want to mention, although he's no longer with the Institute for Human Sciences, he ran this program for a very long time. He's a permanent fellow. He's with us here somewhere tonight. Ivan Vejvoda. And we never would have got anywhere with this program if it wasn't also for the Erste Foundation's Boris Marta. Thank you, Boris, very much for all you've done. Now, I'm not going to try and sum up everything that we've heard today, in part because I wasn't here this morning. But we certainly can't say after the end of this that European politicians are boring. But one of the things I wanted to highlight, I was really struck by the debates that I have seen, because the issue of technology has been rather in the background, except towards the end. Rafał talked about a couple of key issues, and we had the question from over there, which was very important. I've been working a lot on the issue of technology, and in particular the geopolitics of technology, but also of supply chains for things like critical raw minerals in recent years. And I think Europe really has to understand some of the dynamics that have been going on in the wider world over the past 20 to 25 years. One really important thing is that information technology as adapted by capitalism sees value not in labor, but in data. And what that means is that you need many fewer people working in that industry in order to make what we say colloquially in English, a shed load of money. And I don't think it's entirely coincidental that the rise of inequality in all our societies is mirrored by the rise of big tech, whether it be in Silicon Valley or whether it be in China. Now, Europe has so far failed to keep up, even though a lot of the digital technologies and the biotechnologies which have emerged in the past 25 to 30 years actually originated here. We have been unable to capitalize on that. But we are reaching a tipping point on this. And the issue about digital sovereignty is incredibly important, and one that I think everybody would benefit from engaging with. But it's not just it's not just the Googles and the TikToks and the Metas. We have already lost our position in almost all of the renewable technologies to China. And Europe is, without a sense of urgency, looking at, within the next 5 to 10 years, a collapse of its automotive industry. And that automotive industry replacement by Chinese automotive industry. And alarm bells should be ringing everywhere. That's why I thought the issue about capital markets is even more important than we gave it credit for today. So I would like to echo, as I end this, I would like to echo the sentiment of Rafał Trzaskowski, is let us stop bitching and moaning and get on with finding strategies that are going to engage with this incredible complexity of challenges that Europe faces at the moment, and where possible, collaborate. And I say that as a British citizen and an Irish citizen, so I'm both European and I'm also not European in that sense. I can tell you that Brexit was a really critical strategic error on the part of the United Kingdom, but also on the part of Europe. I mean, primarily the United Kingdom, but not solely the United Kingdom. This has given immense strategic advantages to our competitors. I'm not saying enemies, I'm saying our competitors. And unless we understand that at some level we have to develop cooperation which really functions, then we are, again, to put it politely, totally screwed. But I do believe that we have the intelligence, we have the resources, and deep down we have the political imagination required to do something about this, as some of the fantastic panelists have demonstrated today. So with that, I want to close. I want to thank everyone from the Erste Stiftung and from the building here for all the help they've given us in mounting this. And I want everyone to go away with a sense of the possible, that until things go really, really bad, you can still do something to change it. And we're still at that moment where we can change the direction of things. Thank you very much.